Hi there, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's okay. And if you're not okay, I hope you're surviving the best that you can. So I'm just gonna do a video about my personal journey with healing. So I've spoken on a couple of videos, like briefly, like skimmed over like my background, my relationship, like with mental health, with my depression and anxiety. I've openly spoke about addiction and stuff like that. I'm gonna talk about it in relation to how that led on to my healing journey, getting into the Reiki and the other things that I do. So yeah, I'm just going to try and recap that for you. So there are a couple of people who have been reaching out about Reiki. I did a fair, did the Mind, Body and Spirit fair the other week, and I spoke to a few people who were a little bit curious, but they have got resistance to what that entails, and I get it. Because it's something that is unknown, so they're quite unsure as to what the session entails or how they're going to feel, or if it's going to bring up any emotions that they are not yet feeling courageous enough, I suppose, to acknowledge or just to go there, sort of thing. So, as I've openly shared, I have been in and out of mental health disorders. So from anxiety, depression, from obsessive compulsive behaviours, drug addiction, from messing around with my food, being a bit body dysmorphic. These behaviours go as far back as I can remember as a child. So I remember, like, on reflection now, looking back, some of the behaviours I had as a kid signified like the starting of messing around with my food. Obviously when you are young, you don't really have an awareness of what's going on. It's all kind of really just the norm at such a young age. And then there was also behaviours of OCD, just couldn't stop cleaning. And it wasn't about not being able to stop cleaning, it was the uncomfortableness and the discomfort that was under that if I didn't, if it was kind of like getting things in order and stuff like that. As because I was quite young, I do still remember having that feeling of discomfort when I wasn't putting things in its place. So just trying to control my own emotions and stuff externally. So fast forward then, you don't think out of it, you're not aware, fairly normal child, blah blah blah. Fast forward to being 16, 17, started smoking a little bit of weed, got into taking other harder drugs, ecstasy, partying. I just loved partying, and I loved raving. And I just loved getting smashed. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna try and sugarcoat it, but I just loved getting smashed, loved getting off my head, just out with my mates. We just had a ball. We really did. Again, didn't think naught of it, just thought I was like typical teenager, curious, experimental. Living the party lifestyle. It wasn't that abnormal for people to be into that. So then again, fast forward from then to being 20-year-old. I was in a bit of a turbulent marriage, relationship. I had my son. And again, I had a little bit of hard time in myself, lost myself a little bit during my relationship with my son. That's a little bit difficult. You don't realise, at 20-year-old, you feel like you're an adult and you know everything, and then becoming a single mum from living with my partner, and then I spent some time back at my mum's house, and then finding a house by myself, like little old me, just like in a house with a baby. yeah, it's a little bit of a daunting experience, and you think you're prepared for it, but I suppose that's just life and growing up as well to an extent. So for some time while I had my son, I was off drugs, and up until he was of a certain age, I remained sober for a period. And then I think when I was kind of like regrouping after like becoming single and having a new baby, I did start taking drugs again. Yeah, but again, not really thinking much of it. So, as anybody who's got children know, having kids does change you. It makes you well, most of the time, from what I gather, speaking to other people, it changes you. But bear in mind, I was only 21 as well, so I was still in the process of changing anyway, which I think you do with age. But then I started to have unfulfillment about getting just like taking drugs all the time and stuff, and that was when I noticed that it was a problem. So my desire to stop, I wanted to go to college, I wanted to go to university, I wanted to be something more for this little child. I wanted to just become a better person, I wanted to change, I wanted to grow. And then it was in doing that that I realised that I had a problem, and it wasn't just so easy, because I did want to stop taking drugs. It wasn't easy to do that at the time. So from there, I just started feeling, I felt like I was changing. I was kind of like going through this internal shift. I started to just be unfulfilled, kind of like not recognising myself, like old behaviours that I had seemed, I was just becoming quite self-aware, and in that self-awareness I was aware that I wasn't particularly happy, I wasn't particularly comfortable. I started experiencing anxiety, just like being around certain friends and in circumstances and stuff. So it was just kind of like the beginning of this journey of evolution, of changing really. So yeah, when was that? So yeah, that must have been like 2000 about 2008, let's say. So at this point, I was then in another relationship, and yeah, just like I said, just becoming more and more aware of myself and an uncomfortableness with that. Kind of like thinking, gosh, I don't even really know myself. And then that change in behaviour, that internalness, oh God, that like the anxiety and stuff, and then that it created, and then just feeling that you're separate from your friends, and which is what you have always known. It was quite an uncomfortable space to be in. So then that was when I started, so you can like ask any of my friends who I was around at the time. I started experiencing, so I was waking up at like, I kept on getting I believe that I was getting woken up in the night, and the time on the clock was always 3:33 a.m. So this happened numerous times for me to start paying attention to it. It was clearly something. Like me and my friends, who was like also curious about this number. So like one day I was like, right, this number is something. So I remember being on a journey, like going to pick my son up from school. So I was like, I don't even know who I was talking to. I was talking to myself, talking to the universe, or whatever. And I remember saying, right, okay, if this number is something and for me to pay attention of, then show it me now on this walk to school. I want, if it is something for me to pay attention to. So anyway, walked all the way to school, went to pick my son up, and there you go, turned around in the bloody library, and then there was a book number 333 staring me in the face, right? So I was like, right, this number is clearly something to be sought after. So next thing you know, oh my God, opened it up. It was everywhere I went. I'd walk into a cafe, it'd be on the clock, it'd be on the microwave. It was just every single way that I went. It was quite amusing, really, but I didn't. Spirituality then, so talking like nearly 20 years ago now, it was, you know, these days everybody's talking about numbers, numerology, blah, blah, blah. But back like nearly 20 years ago, it was not the known thing. So upon myself and my friendship group and stuff, it was quite exciting, really. So that was that, and then alongside, so me and a friend that I was hanging around with at the time, she had been to see a clairvoyant, and also back in the day, 20 years ago, it wasn't just so common as it is these days. So people, like speaking about like psychics and tarots and stuff like that. And alongside this, I was going through some an incident with my then boyfriend. Had some like insecurities, some thoughts about a situation that had happened. Not going to go into too much detail. So anyway, we went all the way over to see to Manchester to see this lady. So and I walked in, and she just told me things that was so accurate, and she could have had no way of knowing. There was, you know, I wasn't on Facebook then. She didn't know who I am. I don't think she even knew my name, you know. So I know people who's a bit skeptical and say, oh yeah, well, she could have guessed this, guessed that, or whatever. But no, she knew things. She knew details of things that she couldn't have known. She couldn't have known, no way. So anyway, all the while, these things are piquing my interest, and the numbers, I had the psychic reading. So anyway, this lady was, she was a Reiki practitioner, and she was holding a level 1 attunement. I didn't even know what it was. It just sounded cool. So I booked on to do this level 1. And doing my attunement, like there was just all these things that kind of stood out, like feeling the energy, feeling the heat, having these like experiences of light, and just all these things that started just kind of like catching my attention, really. I'm naive, I don't know if that's what you want to call it, but I haven't got a clue what even Reiki is, never even heard it before, I'm not familiar with energy. Or at least I didn't think I was. So I started doing this, and then doing my level 1 attunement. You have to do like a 30 days like self Reiki healing on yourself. Started getting into doing a little bit of meditation and stuff. So that was all great. It was just all curious stuff, something new, giving it a try. So all in all, alongside me getting into the Reiki and getting into crystals, getting into tarots, just had this curiosity. It was something new, it was something exciting. And then alongside that, like my mental health was deteriorating. I was like taking more and more drugs, so I was getting more and more depressed. So these two things were happening simultaneously to each other, really. I didn't then see the connection of like what was going on. Obviously I do now in retrospect, but I didn't at the time. It was just one thing that I was getting into. I wasn't even know then the depth of what the energy healing and stuff and that was. But yeah, all the while I was kind of like losing my own grip on reality in terms of like mental health. Just like taking drugs all the time and stuff like that. Just like heading towards my rock bottom, so to speak. So that was that. And then fast forward to there was a couple of incidences that happened along that way. I had taken drugs one night at a friend's place in Marsh above the KFC, and there was an incident when I had a bad trip and I jumped out of the 2-story high building window. It was a very weird night. But yeah, to cut a long story short, I had a bad trip, jumped out of this window, broke my pelvis, and I was fortunate to be alive. So during this time between 2012 and 2014, I was just spiraling, getting worse with my mental health, and then taking more drugs to compensate for that. And then fast forward to 2014, the end of the year, I was going to Barcelona for my 30th birthday with my mum and my sister and my brother, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So I ended up having a psychotic breakdown. This was the crunch. This was like right rock bottom for me. So that in Barcelona, being in a country that you don't know, on the edge of reality, is a very, very scary place to be. I literally thought my mind has gone. Yeah, it was a really, really scary experience. But again, looking back, it didn't seem like it at the time. But looking back now, there was the bestest experience, the bestest thing that could have happened to me, because during that time, it was the fear of where I was at in my own mind was the only thing that was strong enough to stop me taking drugs for a period of time. So I made it back from Barcelona in one piece. Yeah, it was fucking touch and go, man. I thought I was going to have to section myself in Barcelona. It wasn't nice at all. So anyway, when I got back from being away, I went to the doctor, said, I think I'm losing my mind. She said, fortunately, if you were losing your mind to that extent, you wouldn't be sat here telling me you're losing your mind. Here, take these psychotic tablets. And she's like, oh, they make you worse before they make you get better. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, fuck that. I was like, I can't feel any worse in my own head. I can't do it. So the other option was to start having psychotherapy and healing. And through this time, when I thought I was on the edge of losing myself once and for all, I thought, oh my god, I just saw myself sectioned in a straight jacket, fucking headbutting walls and stuff like that. That's where I thought that I was heading, and it was not nice. The things that I'd gotten into, with the Reiki, the angels and the crystals and stuff, there's the only thing, it's making me emotional now, the only thing that was real, that only thing that I felt like I had to hold on to, when reality felt like it was slipping away. The angels and the Reiki and the meditation and stuff was the only thing that I felt like I had to, what seemed real, that I could just hold on to. So from then, when I started, so bear in mind I was drug free at this time then, so that led to 4 years of sobriety, and in that time I really just threw myself into healing. So I started having the psychotherapy, I was having counselling, I went to my first retreat in Scotland. I went away for a week to this silent retreat. Oh my god, that was intense. It literally ripped me a new arsehole. But these were all the beautiful things of starting to find myself again. Well, not again, because I never really knew who I was in the first place, but just to find all the pieces of myself that were missing all along. So yeah, and then fast forward, so that must have been over kind of the space of 2015, 2016. So fast forward to 2025 now, that has just been my life. It's just been I've just been on this journey of, I am going to get better, I am going to feel well. Oh my god, this has welled me up so much more than I thought it would. But just reminiscing, well, not reminiscing, just looking back and thinking actually how hard it has been. But it has been mighty worth it just to sit here now, and all my hard work has paid off. I do believe that once you do start on that healing self-growth journey, it is there isn't an end goal. We are all constantly healing. There's always another layer of ourselves that we can find. There's always a new you, somebody who's just got unlimited being inside of themselves. So as much as I am what you call stable, mentally well, in a good place. I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm sober. I still, every day, I'm on that journey of being more than I was than the previous me, sort of thing. So sorry, I'm gonna circle that back. I went on for a bit of a tangent then, but I felt like it was just really important just to say my journey with the healing. So the Reiki and the energy healing has been a massive part of me getting well. I don't think that we can heal just by like the talking therapies. You know, people say like exercise and diet and stuff like that. I think it's a whole package of modalities that we put together to use to get better. But if you could psychologically understand something, but if you haven't done the processing and the releasing and the energy work of actually getting them emotions out of your body, you're not going to get better. You might be able to psychologically understand it, but them heavy emotions are still keeping us stuck in a state of disease. So as much as I don't really use the Reiki on myself at the moment, if I'm feeling a little bit unwell, I might do myself a little bit of a blast. If I feel like I've got a cold and a sore throat coming on, I'll sit and do some slight self-Reiki on myself. But just because I don't do the Reiki, I'm still very much do energy healing. So it might be in different forms. It might be breath work. It might be just meditation. It might be sound baths. It might be something deeper than that. So energy work and healing is still a massive part of who I am and what my life entails, just because if I, my mental health, I'm only one step away of feeling anxious, and kind of them behaviours are always there. Once you've experienced that, when you've been unwell, you're only kind of like just close from relapsing into them behaviours if you don't keep on top of yourself, if I'm not meditating, if I'm not eating right, if I'm not drinking enough water, if I'm not taking enough time and that to relax and look after myself and put in like boundaries in place and stuff like that. So still to this day, it is a massive part of me keeping well. Yeah, I've totally gone off point of what I was trying to say in this video. I can't even remember now, but I've got to trust that what has been said, somebody needs to hear it anyway. So yeah, yeah, I don't even know what else I'm going to say. I think I'm going to leave it there actually, because of yeah. So if anybody has got any questions about getting into healing, if they've got any barriers, if they've got any resistance, get in touch, get in contact with me. I can speak to you, can talk you through some things. I can give you some advice. So if you're like not prepared to come to the salon, or you just wanted some things, I could help out with like some breathing techniques or just anything like that. I'll help where I can. So please, if you've got any questions or anything, just get in touch. Yeah, okay. I'll see you all later. Bye.